Welcome to Easy Vibes. We believe in having interesting conversations with all sorts of people from all over the world. This episode is no different. We had the privilege of speaking with Arman Alizad. He lives in Finland, but he was originally born in Iran. Him and his family, like many other families, left during the Iranian Revolution. He's a producer and host of shows like Kill Arman and Beyond Human Boundaries. And I'd say the best way to describe him in general is that he's an adventurer. And some of his adventures have taken him to very interesting locations, and he's met really interesting people. And he's also gotten into some really tricky situations. So having said all that, enjoy this episode.
Parents' house and build your own house for your family, and you have only a few months to do that before winter gets here. So there's no time to socialize. So I think that has, I don't know, but that's just my own theory, that the clock is ticking, that before November, December, when like shit hits the fan, then you have to have that house ready. So you just roll up your sleeves, nobody's talking, they just work and get things done.
Well, so you reckon the weather plays a part in how people interact?
I think so.
I think that actually does make sense when you think about it.
The coldest places, I've been to 70 countries, and the coldest places I've been to, like Greenland or like distant and cold, Faroe Islands, Greenland, Iceland, the Nenets people in North Siberia, they don't talk. They're like the Inuit people, for example. There's the culture. They have this extremely strong bond of understanding. And I think this is like, and this made me realize also that it's not like, people always say that it's so nice to have somebody that you can talk to, but it's on a completely another level if you can have somebody that you can be quiet with and they still understand you.
So true. Actually, you actually make so much sense there. I think that's when you know someone well enough, or at least that you're comfortable with someone because you can talk to anyone, but being able to just sit with someone and be chill.
Yeah, and they will know what's going on inside your heart.
Right.
That's a higher level of a bond, in my opinion.
So, like how you were saying earlier about feeling grateful for being here.
Yeah.
My perspective is that I kind of know what the world is like outside of Finland.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I find that a lot of the vibe I get from people here, either they've never left Finland, or they're just massive victims. Like my mind just can't compute as to how people can just complain. I'm not saying complaining is bad. You can complain about stuff, it's fine.
Yeah.
But just how people push Finland down so much. Now, for you, can you tell me a little bit about like where you were born and how you got here and your perspective on Finland becoming home and stuff?
This might be going like cutting corners really bluntly, but I think there's some truth to this, that everything in Finland is so good, and the social safety net for everybody is just so good compared to the rest of the world, that a lot of people just feel entitled. So if something goes wrong, it's not about your own survival against the world. It's like, why doesn't the government do this for me, or why are these guys not helping out, or whatever. And that's why you see a lot of certain types of complaining and people not understanding the gratitude level that they should have, because there's no comparison, like you said, that they haven't been outside of Finland. There is like no understanding of how hard life could actually be, like if you go to certain places, and I think that affects a lot of the attitudes that people have here, especially the younger generation, I would say, because the older generation have went through hell. Building Finland after the Winter War is like, and even going through the Winter War, it's like everything was an apocalypse. So after that, building a complete nation and from scratch, then they know what hard work is like.
Right.
But building that great and working community for everybody made life in a way quite easy because everybody is taken care of. And I think that's wonderful. And I think every society should be able to do that. But when you're living in that kind of environment for long enough, then you might have feelings of entitlement that will just be obstacles for yourself in the future.
Yeah, that I mean, I completely agree with you, but I can't help but, I don't know, it irritates me more than it should.
Nah, I understand.
Sometimes.
I understand. You and I come from like different backgrounds than the Finnish society. So I come from Iran. I had to leave because my family's future was threatened. Our lives were threatened. We had to like leave and come to Finland. There's this place that everything that my own birth country didn't give me, I got from Finland. So a safe society, a place to start again, education, and healthcare, and Finland gave our family the warm blanket.
Amazing.
To like embrace us with, and of course we're grateful for that. So it's like
wait, so did you leave during the revolution?
Right during the revolution, and like when the revolution hit, and then we immediately had to leave because that was basically the only choice. My mother was Christian, my father's Baha'i,
right.
and for that reason it was like, yeah, we had to go.
So for you, some of the things happening around the world must make you really roll your eyes in terms of knowing what you've come from, what you had to flee and get out of.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people here just like to talk about some of the stuff as though it's like in textbooks, but your family actually had to leave because of what was happening, which is kind of crazy.
We were working on a documentary about the South Sudan situation some years ago. There was like the world's biggest humanitarian crisis going on, and there's like a refugee camp on the side of Ethiopia, and people are fleeing from Sudan to Ethiopia, and there's like in the camps, there's like tens of thousands of people who've lost everything, and I always believe that maybe the strongest thing that a human being can have is hope. Because hope is the strongest. It is the hardest to kill, and it is the strongest. If there's a meteorite,
I totally agree.
Yeah, if there's a meteorite like coming at me, until the final second, I will have hope that maybe it will change its direction, or a magic shield will save me. It's like you always have that hope that okay, maybe something will happen. But in that refugee camp, I'm in a place where there is no hope. It's like completely viewless. And the people are there. They've lost everything. They have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Not even what's going to happen in a few hours in their lives. And then I come back from that trip and read the news here, and like I get internet on my computer. Here I open the computer and like, okay, what's the news in Finland? Okay, somebody bought this mixed candy bag that has to have like 5 different flavors, and one flavor was missing from that candy bag, and that it becomes news. So they put something on social media, and then the reporter calls them, and then they have to call the company, the factory that has made that candy, and they have to explain, okay, because this was because of packaging and technical issues. We're really sorry that there was no orange flavor in that bag, and this is news, and this is
crazy.
It's crazy, and I'm not saying that don't complain about small stuff.
Yeah,
because I complain about small stuff, but I think it's. My headache is worse than your headache because it's my headache. It's subjective. So you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
So it's not like don't complain about small stuff, but just be aware that things could be a lot worse, because that's a healthier way to see the world.
No, I completely agree with you, because Finland, like every other country, has its faults.
Yeah.
Right? We can all agree with that.
Yeah.
I just happen to believe that Finland's faults are a lot less than a lot of other countries out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so when I see someone going on social media in Finland and calling Finland the most racist country, I sometimes just want to like dive out a window. I'm like, you haven't been, and of course, just for the sake of the internet, I'm going to say, of course, there's racism. There is everywhere, right?
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
But I just mean, like, all I'm asking for, or what I like to fight for, and why I like to focus on a lot of the positivity, is to just balance out the perspective.
Yeah.
Because perspective is everything. Something might look massive if you don't have perspective.
Exactly.
But then when you zoom out and you realize that, oh, it's a little molehill compared to a mountain, then you can be like, oh, okay, maybe seeing that that's so small and this is so big, maybe we can focus more on all of the good stuff and whatever. And I think that for me is like something I need Finnish people to know.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree. There's racism everywhere. I have faced it, but for me as a person, I've always been like since a child a person that doesn't affect me. I'm like completely Teflon to any kind of anyone trying to put me down, because I will not submit to that. That is something in me. You cannot say, there are no words that you can say to me that I will submit to. I will not give into your words.
Amazing.
And that is something I try to teach my children, that words do not hurt. Never let anyone under your skin with the words that they're speaking. If I start to talk to you in Persian and just smile and say the worst things possible, you will smile back because you have no idea what I'm saying. Those words, the words, when you know them, you will let yourself be hurt by those words. It's up to you, and it's not up to me. It's if you do that the same to me, and you speak in French, and you say the worst things to me, and you're smiling, I'll just smile back and be well, parlez-vous, my friend. Ça va?
but I think you hit on something really important where, people like to call, and when you're done, you can get some more or whenever you want. It's something that really gets to me. It seems like the messaging around being strong, mentally strong, has weakened a little bit.
Yeah.
Because now it seems like we're trying to control how people talk instead of teaching people to be strong regardless of what anyone says.
Exactly.
That to me is so much more of a better message.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't say this, whatever. How about you just start from the very beginning learning that no matter what someone says, their words can bounce off me because my own words, what I say to myself, means way more to me than what anyone else says. Yeah. And it's just, and I'm seeing this quite a lot, not only in Finland, but in the West in general. It's like, not everyone's going to be nice to you.
Yeah.
Some people are going to be ugly to you, whether it's your race, your weight, your height, your gender, whatever. Someone is going to say things that you are not going to like.
Yeah.
And we've got two choices. You either expect everyone to have to say nice things to you and then get disappointed when they're not.
Yeah.
Or just be like, you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'll just stand strong. So how do you try to teach your kids that?
I try to teach them that the words don't hurt you. And there's nothing that someone else can say that can or should put your own self-worth down. It's you have to understand who you are, what you stand for, what you mean, and what is in your heart, and you stand by that, and you wear your armor and you go out and you fight, because life is not going to be easy. It's just not going to be easy. You just have to learn. I teach my kids, and I do a lot of talks, and when I go to a company, one of the first things I say is I'm not the speaker who's going to come and say that, okay, if you grind hard enough, everything is going to happen, because it doesn't. That's just BS. You need to be successful. You need to work hard, of course, but there is an element of luck and there is an element of timing, and they all have to work together for magic to happen. So that is something that you need to understand. So it's not, you might be working for years and years and years and nothing happened. The timing was right. There was no luck in that situation, and nothing just happened. So you have to be able to understand that things are not just going to happen by themselves. There's a lot of factors to things happening, and also that I also talk about that. There are speakers out there who say that, okay, if you work hard enough, all your dreams will come true. I think that's BS too. I would say 90% of everybody's dreams were burned to ashes. And I know it sounds really cynical, but it's the truth. And if you can understand that, then you understand that that only like one can come true, and that's enough, because that one coming true will open doors for many other things. So if you understand that, then you can fail. Then you will have the power to fail, and because I tell them it doesn't matter. It's like the Rocky movie. It doesn't matter like how hard you get hit. It's like how hard you can get hit and then still go on, or how many times you fall down. It doesn't matter, but it does matter how many times you get back up again to try. Because if you have this attitude, then you can fail. You won't be disappointed in a way that it will immobilize you to try again. Because then you feel like, oh damn, I did all this work and nothing. And then you're just stuck there.
Right.
It's like I think it was Thomas Edison that said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways that didn't work.
That is actually really
that is
true.
Such a good attitude to have. Like it's like, okay, no.
Have you always had that sort of attitude? Like, how did you get to where you are today?
Like yes and no. I would say yes and no. Where I am today is a sum of how I probably grew up and how I faced fear, because fear was always there for me. Moving around, being a child in the revolution, everything that's happening around me, I didn't understand what's going on. Moving to another country, we moved to the States and then we moved to Finland, always like constantly moving, getting friends, losing friends, getting friends, moving to another place, losing my friends. There was this sort of like element of feeling disappointed and failing in everything. So there has always been like two voices in my head, and one voice is always saying to me that you're a piece of shit and you will never be anything in your life. And there's the other voice that says, I will show you. You just shut up because I will show you. And luckily, this other voice has been stronger. So I've always gone through this my mental self-worth is either like the lowest of the low, or it can be the highest of the high. And I've been jumping up and down with that all through my life. So at times I feel like it's like complete. At times I feel like a complete waste of molecules. like the universe should have made something else with my molecules. Like I feel that worthless. And then the other voice comes up and it's really strong and it says, no, you can do anything you want. And and that has been like the inner battle throughout my whole life. So there's always been those elements, but the other voice has been luckily stronger. I don't know why, but
How did you manage to find that balance? Because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to those extreme views of oneself. It's like, it can be like that.
Yeah, I guess it's like, I think it's like probably pretty much, I think it's probably pretty much like the Indian or Native Americans saying that there's like two wolves inside you, and the one that you feed will be the stronger one. I think it's an old Native American saying that I just read like a few years ago, but then I was like, okay, well that's exactly those. But I've probably been listening more to the other voice that says that you can do it. Right. So I think that's what has brought the balance. That has been like the sort of my giving more attention to that voice, that okay, we'll get through this. We're going to make it. And I think that's given the balance. And I think there's like there's more balance now that I've learned because I've learned how to harness the fear, understand those voices better. But still, it's still, my life is like, emotionally, I have like going up and down all the time, and that makes life really difficult for like for like if you're living with me, or it's yeah. It's like,
no, I can completely understand that. Talking about fear, how in the world do you manage to go into some of those environments that you film at, like whether it's in a prison, or whether it's earlier we were talking about how you went to go see the whole poacher kind of thing. It's like, how do you harness the fear there? Because that is just insane. Sorry, let me close this door.
Sure.
Because it's... Yeah. So how do you harness that fear? Because that's...
I would say it's curiosity. I'm super curious. If there's a sign that wet paint, I will try even before I know I've tried. You know, it's like an automatic reaction that I have to try because I have to know is it wet or not. And I think that curiosity is something that has been there since I was a child. Like as far as I can remember, I've always been super curious, super open, wanting to learn and just understand. So if something is strange, I'm not just, okay, well, that's strange. My reaction is, that is strange. I need to learn about why this is so strange. So that's my reaction. And it's not like just, because many people have the reaction, well, that's really strange. And they just, okay. They put that in a locker of strange things in their mind and avoid it for later. But for me, it's like, it's a magnet to go there and understand why. I don't understand this. And why does this feel strange? Why is this so fascinating in a way? So
right.
So for me, I think that's the thing, that I just want to go there and learn and understand.
Right. Can you remember a particular time or project you've been working on where the fear felt a lot more potent than some of the other times?
Definitely. Like there's like places that are scary have something to do, or basically everything to do with the element of not having control of the situation. So it can be me getting sick. I've been dehydrated to a point that I almost died in a desert in Ethiopia. But we got help just in time for me not to go into the next phase of my all my intestines and organs just shutting down. Holy. So it was really close. It was a matter of hours that saved my life. That is like one situation. Or I've had like high altitude sickness in the Himalayas, and I have to be evacuated and get taken to the hospital. But there are situations, and you can't control that, so it just happens. And there are situations, like you're from South Africa, so we've been in Manenberg in South Africa to do a documentary about the numbers gangs, and being in that area with the gang members. I've done a lot of work before we go there, so there's a lot of trust between us. I've talked to them for months to build bridges and this relationship that we can go there. They know that we want to go there to tell their story, and they also want us to tell their story. So there is this mutual respect and working together. But there are situations, for example, we go to the gang members' house and they want to go there to chill, but chilling means drinking alcohol, getting high on really, really hard drugs, loading up weapons and going out seeking trouble with rival gang members, for example. And so I'm in a situation, we're just sitting in a room like this, and there's gang members everywhere. Everybody is smoking methamphetamine and crack with glass pipes, drinking alcohol, getting really, really hyped up and loading weapons. And there's like 9mm weapons with a bullet in the chamber, and it's cocked, and you're just sitting there and trying to interview people and talking and just thinking that, oh my God, if somebody just sneezes, then a gun will go off. And, and that is. But there's nothing you can do in that situation. It's like you have to adapt to what is going on. I don't want to say or do anything that will cause a reaction. Just calm down and just nod and, speak very calmly and just nod. Maybe smile and nod and, just be as, as neutral as possible. Anything that you do, because it's not that they're mad at me or anything, but the situation is very hyped up, and the effect of all the substances there, then it's a really scary place.
It seems to me the way you come across when you're speaking, it's like a a surfer riding a big wave.
Yeah.
Where you seem to enjoy getting yourself in situations where you can't control it, but you enjoy the thrill of finding a way down the way.
I'm laughing because you are 150% right, and this is something that my father has throughout the years said the same kind of thing, that Arman, I just cannot understand why you have to do things always the hardest way.
Right.
But I'm happy that it's worked out for you. But yeah, you're the kind of person that does everything the hard way.
So how did you get to do what you do now? Can you give me like a short rundown of the timeline?
I didn't know what I was going to be when I was in high school, but my interest for stories and movies and aesthetic stuff sort of like led me into the fashion business. I found myself working in a clothing store after the army. Then I got interested more in clothes and like beautiful clothing, and I went to a design school and a tailoring school. I became a tailor. I was a really good tailor. I sort of like found my craft, and I was like super good at it, at what I was doing. And then I became really known. So a TV channel in 2001 called me that they wanted to make a fashion show, and I was a really known tailor, and they wanted me to host it. And at first I said no, because I didn't have anything to do with TV, and I was like, what am I going to do on TV? It's not like my thing. But then there was a voice inside me that said, just give it a try. Go. You like, at least if you do, then if you try it, then you'll know if you liked it or not. So just don't leave that like open. So I went there, I tried it. I really liked making programs, but then the channel I was working for went bankrupt. And then other channels were interested in me because they liked how I was in TV. But then I was hosting other people's programs. I was making a fashion show for myself when I was working in the first channel, and I liked to do that because I'm just doing something I'm personally interested in. And then starting to just host programs for other people's for years, I was like, I don't want to be on TV just to be on TV. That this is not like good. I'd rather be tailoring and focusing on my main craft. So I decided, like many years later, that there was a program that I wanted to make about martial arts. To travel the world to martial arts schools, because I was also interested always as a kid in Bruce Lee movies and Kung Fu movies. And then I thought that, okay, I will take a chance and try to see, will my wings sort of, can I fly and make my own programs, or will I just crash and burn? And then I'm going to take that risk. So I don't want to do TV for other people. I'll try to do it my way. And if it doesn't work, I'll stop. And if it works, I'll continue down that path. And it worked. So this is why I'm here. So I decided in 2008 that if being on TV is the reason I'm on TV, then that's the wrong reason, and I don't want to be, because I don't like the celebrity being like in the limelight or like being how do you say, a public figure.
Yeah.
I just want to do my thing. I just want to go and make those documentaries, tell the stories. And if that works, then okay, I'll do it.
Right. I mean, that is, so in a way, this whole thing that you're doing kind of found you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And obviously there was something, that voice telling you to go out and do it was that part of that crazy wave surfer that was like in there, kind of like
intuition.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a religious person in that way. I've had we had a religious family, but I'm really spiritual. I believe there is an energy that holds the universe and everything together, and that energy mainly works towards good. That is the balance that it wants to keep. But I would say if there is a voice of God, then it's intuition. I would say that intuition is the voice of God, and that is something that is in you. It already knows, and like I make every decision I make with my feet on the ground and trying to be as reasonable as possible. But intuition is the one that pushes the final button.
Yeah, I think it can be, at least for me, I think I've noticed definitely a lot of periods in my life where I listened to the voice of intuition and my life took a completely different turn.
Yeah.
But it can sometimes be quite difficult to listen to intuition.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Like trying to find the difference between intuition and feeling. Is there a way that you try and differentiate the two? Or are they one and the same?
I would say, for me at least, they're pretty much one and the same, because it also is what feels right. So I think that is like the feeling is what I'm searching for when I'm listening to that voice, because that also helps me in the aftermath of whatever happens. If it turns out to be good and successful, the decision, then I'm happy and I'm like, okay, this was the right thing to do. And if it fails, then I can still rely on my heart and say that at that moment, this was the right thing for me to do and the decision. So it helps me also in a way that if it doesn't work out and if I fail, then it helps with the feeling of regret not being that big, because then, that in my heart at that moment, this was the right feeling for that decision.
Oh, that is so true, because it goes back to something you said earlier about people's dreams kind of being buried and dying and whatever.
Yeah.
I think I watched this one thing where this person was interviewing old people, and they said that rarely ever do they regret something they did.
Yeah.
They only ever regret something they didn't do.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, actually.
I think that's like that's the reason I took the job for the fashion program, and they asked me to be on TV, because it was like that if I don't do this, if I don't take the job, they've already made the decision for this production. So if I'm not going to host it, somebody's going to host it.
Right.
And if I put on my TV in 2 months and see the program that was offered to me, made by someone else and not to the standards that I would have made that program to, I would feel for like, I don't know for how long, but that would like, that would be destroyed by my own thoughts and regret. So I thought that I'm just going to do it, because then at least I'll know.
Yeah. And
I think there's also been like there's also been like a study on everybody can check if it's true or not, but I believe I once read an article about people on their deathbeds being asked about regrets, and it is just as you said, that it's mostly the things they didn't do than the things that they did do, because what you did, it's done. You just have to live with that. You have to. It's life is playing chess. You can't undo the bad moves. You just have the opportunity to make the right next move.
Yeah.
So
to like kind of course correct.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of something. I actually made a video about this. I was thinking of something when it comes to, I've got these dreams of doing big things or whatever.
Yeah.
From when I was a little kid, I grew up watching Lord of the Rings and reading the Harry Potters and all that kind of stuff. So I always had these, and watching films or whatever. But it kind of hit me that the greatest thing I will ever do, I've already done, which is existing.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of looking into the chances of like you and me existing.
Yeah.
Like if you had to take into account, generations and then the universe forming, the Big Bang and all that sort of stuff. The chances of us existing in our current form is so unbelievably small that the fact that we are here is just the craziest thing.
Yeah.
And I find that viewing the world in that way for me has made me feel a lot more free to view the world like a playground.
Yeah.
To be like, you know what? I'm alive already.
Yeah.
And exactly. Might as well just try like a bunch of different things. You know what I mean?
Make the best of it. I mean, I think that is one important like aspect of gratitude, that you're like happy for what you have, and you're like you can just realizing that the chances of existence are so incredibly thin, or the nice things that happen to your life, you should be grateful for those. The time that you have here, you should be grateful for that. Just do everything you can to make everything better in every possible way.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's Uh, I was wondering because I was once asked about if I believe in maybe like karma or is it like you doing good things that good things happen to you? If you do bad things happen to you, or is shit gonna hit the fan anyway? And I think that at least that I think in most cases shit is gonna hit the fan anyway during your life, like many times. But if you have the positive attitude and if you're grateful, then it's gonna be a much better ride.
Yeah.
Because you can't avoid the things that are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
But you, it's up to you. It's like the conversation we had earlier about maybe racist attacks and how you relate to them, how you feel, how you react to something that happens. It's anything bad that happens in life. You're basically yourself are the one who is responsible for what goes on after that.
Yeah.
There's no one else you can like point the finger at or blame or it's.
No, that's completely true. Would you say that way of viewing the world affects your view on things like politics and things that happen?
Pretty much. I mean,
do you need more coffee to answer that question?
No, it's okay. I'm fine. It's
Okay.
it's like a hard question because I have, in a way, I have like admiration for people who truly are in politics because of how they see the world and how they feel in their heart, like wherever on the spectrum they are. Then there is like a dedication that I think is admirable. But otherwise, like politics it's such a dirty playground, and it's like,
it is, isn't it?
It's just so dirty. I think it was Ronald Reagan who said that politicians are like diapers; they have to be changed as often and for the same reason. It's always full of shit and piss, It's like, yeah, and I think that's pretty brilliant,
right?
And it explains the whole world of politics pretty well because I've been asked so many times by so many different parties to join, and I'm like, no, I will never do that. I have so much more control on having effect on people's thoughts and opinions and worldviews through my work and documentaries that I will keep that for myself, and I will do it through that work. But going into politics, like you have to go into the Parliament House, argue with 200 people, when even in the same party, you're arguing with people in the same part, basically the same party, and you already have different opinions and different ways. And it's like, I would say that in politics, if you're on the left or if you're on the right, they both want a better future for everybody. They just have the different toolbox and different tools and ways of getting to that. But everybody, because they want a better future and those want a better future for everybody.
I think that's such an important distinction you made there, because what a lot of people do is they demonize the different sides. Yeah. I've just been reading this book called A Righteous Mind.
Yeah.
And it talks basically about that. It's like, imagine wanting to do good is like having a taste bud.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone can taste what sweet is.
Yeah.
But maybe this person believes that mango's the better tasting sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
And someone might be like, no, pineapple is, they're both right. You should combine them, actually. Yeah. It's pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, so exactly this idea of, it seems like you come from it with this idea that both people actually do want to cause positive change.
Yeah.
But they just have different ways of
They have different ways,
about.
Different toolboxes, different ways, and they both want a better future for everyone, but it just doesn't work out very well. And that's why I stay away from politics. I don't like to take part in discussion on different crises that are going around the world or there's not I'm not part of that. I do not understand that well enough to be able to have such a strong opinion on something. I just want to I'm more of a spectator when it comes to what is going on around the world, trying to watch as long as I can to better try to understand what is going on. Yeah. And that's what I do in like micro levels when I go to some place and do a documentary. It's not like I don't have an opinion. Or maybe sometimes I do have an opinion. That is one reason I go, because I might think that, hey, it seems that I have prejudice like against this whatever phenomena that is going on, and I have a feeling that there's something that is wrong about my prejudice. So that is also one reason that I might go there, just to learn and understand,
Interesting,
and form new ways of seeing that. Because we're humans, so there's prejudice everywhere. If you have a door over there, and I can't see what's behind that door, and if there's some kind of scratching or voices or anything, my brain is going to automatically think of 100 possible things that could be behind that door. And they lead to fear. They lead to like, what is going on? But I open it might be a mice. It might be, it could be a cockroach.
or it's Narnia.
It's just Narnia. Yeah, exactly. But because unless you confront that issue, then you will not fully understand, or at least try to understand. So I think that's one thing. And when you don't maybe know enough about something, it's easy to just put things in lockers and just throw stones in every direction with everybody who has a different opinion than you.
No, I completely agree with you. One thing, I think a lot of things in general are like, it seems like politics follows us everywhere now.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah.
Like, it's not just...
Stay away from it as much as you can.
As much as you can.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the thing that bothers me, less the actual crisis, because there's crisis happening everywhere all the time, or just some get more spotlight than others. For me, the thing that worries me a lot of the time is how people how the spectators deal with what is happening.
Yeah.
That for me is what kind of, because then that begins to affect my life. Like how people react to things that are happening.
Yeah, that's why I want to stay away from it, because it just feels like, it's... I might get have like a lot of followers on social media, and every once in a while, it doesn't matter what the crisis is. For the past 15 years, whatever crisis in the past 15 years, whether it's has to do with politics or economics or whatever, there's always somebody sending a message that, okay, whose side are you on?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not owed to you to tell you anything about anything that I think about. I mean, I'm here. I have opinions, and I think about a lot of things, and I'm mostly judging you all quietly in my head, but I'm not saying anything. That's like, just leave me alone and leave me out of this. But it's so. I don't know why this is such, like, the way people react who are maybe distant to something that is not, affecting them. Right. And they have this sense that they have to, participate in something. And it's not something that's going on right now in the world. I'm talking like as long as
just in general.
In general, for the past 53 years that I have been alive, it's always been like that. And I think that people have... And I think it has something also to do with every individual's need for a sense of belonging to something that fills up some kind of void that you have. And that is something that you can focus your energy on, whether it's collecting stamps or being in a demonstration against whatever has happened in the past 53 years that I have been alive.
So would you say, so you instead get your belonging from telling stories?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And from, I guess, fighting your fears or discovering what's behind the door.
Yeah, it's for me, it's personal. I'm definitely not carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. I couldn't do my work if I would do that, if I would let it affect me in a way. Of course it affects me. I see so much injustice and wrong things happening through my documentaries, but I go to therapy for that. I get counseling for that, to be able to like clear my mind and it's like just move forward with whatever is happening. And I do that like intentionally. If I know I'm going to have like a really, really difficult topic, we did, for example, in South Africa, the episode we did on farm murders, or in India, we did an episode on acid attacks that happened towards women. and it can be
Acid attacks.
Yeah, it's like there are thousands of those that happen all around the world, and it does come from a point of a rejection. It's in different cultures where somebody has asked a girl to marry and they reject that boy, and the boy's only way to get honor is to destroy that girl's life, and they throw acid on them, and it's horrifying. It's the effects that it leaves you physically, mentally, in any possible ways. It's just devastating. And we were making a documentary about that, about acid attack survivors. And before I even went on that trip, I had reserved like many therapy sessions for myself to be able to, when I come from that trip, that I need to let things out and have conversations, discuss them, to get, like, how do you say, clear the water of my own mind, so I can go on the next thing. And I don't want to carry that load on my shoulder. I don't carry the load of the world. The world is like, it's super beautiful, but it's super ugly at the same time. And I am not going to let that stop me from living my life, taking care of my family, having my priorities and my values. It just cannot happen. I won't let that happen.
Yeah.
My happiness and my family's happiness and our safety is the number one thing in the world.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I personally, my personal belief is that the best way to change the world is probably the least sexy way we know, which is to build strong families, to raise your kids well, to raise level-headed thinking people who then grow up and do the same thing. I personally believe that is probably
fair and honorable and strong-hearted and strong-minded children who are willing to stand up for their own values and for the values of others and being protected. It's like the code of the knights, like in the old days. You have to protect the weak. You have to stand up to injustice. You have to be strong, and you have to have your own values, and you have to
Yep.
It's pretty simple things, and like you said, like the most least sexy sexy things that are the most important things. But it's like in everything, like it's like everything in the world. It comes down to those really small details which make a whole unified picture.
So tell me now, when you go to a shoot, because like when I'm thinking of something I want to do, a lot of the time, like for my own little videos that I do or whatever, I might write a script and I know the shots I want to do and all that sort of stuff. How in the world do you prepare for a documentary where anything can happen? And like, what is running through your mind? Do you have like contingency plans? Like,
I have never written a script beforehand, because that's impossible.
Because
I don't know. I don't know what is going to happen. So basically, I have first I go through my own prejudices of how I think the situation is, and I sort of line them up. That what I think is going on, and then I make a wish list according to that. So because I think that this this conflict is due to this or whatever I think it is, then I make a wish list of the scenes that and the people that I would like to meet and discuss, and what would be the questions to these people. Then I go through those with my local contacts or the people who are there. And already in that point, I will learn, because they might say, we made a documentary about the conflicts of Northern Ireland that have been going on since, I don't know, the 50s, 60s, and like 1,000 years before. So yes, because it goes back 1,000 years. But people start to talk about it in the media. It's like the Protestants and the Catholics have been killing each other somewhere in northern England, somewhere on the islands, for decades.
Right.
And you believe that it's a religious war, but it's not a religious war. It's a tribal conflict that started 1,000 years ago with the English going to Ireland.
Right.
That's how it all started, like with the colonization of Ireland. That's how it started, like going on to somebody else's into somebody else's backyard.
Right.
And that's how it started. So I have like this thought that it's a religious war. But after the documentary, I'm like, it has nothing to do with religion. And nothing. They have more in common religiously. Like one has this ceremony, and the other one has this ceremony. But otherwise, it's the same Christianity, and the same things. There's just like small. There are branches of Christianity, but it's like basically there's like 90% of the same things and just 10% of different traditions or ceremonies. So it can't even, it's not about religion.
Right.
And this is what happens. So I make these lists, and then I talk to people, I go there, I understand more, and then I come back with the material. And then I start to just plan on what is the order of telling the stories.
Right.
So that it will be complete for the viewer, that they will understand what's going on.
So when you tell a story, you're not trying to build a certain narrative.
No.
You're just trying to tell it as it is the way you kind of experienced it.
Yeah, and it's always different than what I thought because that is like that is exactly what I was explaining like before, that when you don't have enough knowledge of something, it's really hard to have an actual meaningful opinion because you don't know about this situation. You have no idea what those people have been through for hundreds of years or decades or thousands of years or anything that's going on. It's like when you have more understanding, then I can say something at least. But it's like it never comes out to the way I thought that it's going to be. So I have an idea, a pre-idea of what it's going to be, but then I can't have a narrative because that's also making it or putting it into a script or in a way. I just have to tell it as it is. And that's also difficult. That is also difficult because there is no absolute truth. There is no absolute... There is no absolute truth. It's like there are facts.
Yeah.
What happened. But to every story that I have ever documented, there are many truths. There is no one truth. It's just impossible. What you have experienced, what your generations before, and wherever you're coming from, or what I have, and everything that we feel, and the views that we have, are completely different. It's like you have like a drop of water hanging from a leaf after the rain. It's the same drop of water, but if you look at it from different directions, you will have a completely different view. It's the same.
This is very true.
It's the same drop of water, but whichever you have 360 degrees of different views in that water, and if you see it as a ball, even more than and in every way. So it's this infinite amount of information and views and truths.
I can see why. What's the word? Because in this world now, in the day and age we live in, people like to break down the truth into black and white.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple.
And they know what is right.
They will go and protest and whatever. Yeah. And I think this is why, for example, when talking about Finland or about racism or about whatever, one thing I notice is that people don't understand that it's not as simple as black and white.
Yeah.
Okay, there's other things that affect how maybe certain people might view certain types of humanitarian immigration. Yeah. There might be things like religion, like if a religion affects the Finnish culture, and Finnish people love their culture, even though they like to talk bad about it, but they actually love their culture.
Yeah, exactly.
And so anything that affects the culture, people will have an issue with that. Yeah. And for some people, it's just they perhaps are not comfortable speaking English or whatever the case is. I don't know. I just find that people like to just label it's racist or it's completely not. When in fact you can have conversations, you can try to figure out what's going on.
And you have to be able to have those conversations and have them in a non-heated debate. Yeah. Just to talk about the things and understand that it's not black and white, and there's like different, everything is basically gray. Everything is basically gray. True. That's what I've learned. My worldview was really black and white like 15, 20 years ago, like 20 years ago, like super black and white. And
really?
Extreme opinions and everything. And the more I've learned, the more I've experienced, it just seems, it's everything is just gray. It's
Yeah.
like it's like I think it was really good in do you know the movie Fiddler on the Roof?
I haven't seen
It's an old movie.
You're right.
And there's in the village there's a scene where there's the rabbi, and two guys come to the rabbi for seeking assistance in the dispute that they're having, and the rabbi's with his friend there and listening to the guys, and one guy tells a story, and the rabbi's, well, you're absolutely right about this, and then the other guy says his story, his point of view, and the rabbi is like, well, you're absolutely right too. And the guy who's sitting with the rabbi is like, how can they both be right? And he's like, you know what? You're also right. So, and I think that's just amazing. It's just so true on so many levels. Of course, not in every situation, but it's something like, for example, talking about like you and I have been part of the discussion. We have witnessed this discussion. We are touched by the discussion, both being immigrants, like the discussion of immigration in Finland or Europe or anything. It seems like people on the right think that people on the left want to let everybody in, and people on the left think that people on the right don't want to let anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's not like as black and white as I just explained. But they can't have this discussion, and it seems that it's always going. The toolboxes are so different that it just doesn't work out. But from my point of view, the whole discussion is like, it's just crazy. There has to be more emphasis put on the toolboxes that are given to the people who come to Finland, but also the people who come to Finland must have this sense of responsibility to take that toolbox and use it the best possible way. So the door opens both ways.
Yeah,
it can't be we're just helping you, you're not doing anything, or the other way around. It just cannot work. And there has to be more emphasis on security and the differentiation of the people who really need help and would be completely devastated if not given that help.
Yeah.
So we did it. I did a documentary coming later this fall about the war on drugs in the United States and the border crisis.
Oh.
I just read on the news that President Biden is going to close the border.
Was this recent?
This was really recent, just a few days ago. And I'm like, okay, finally, is this because of the election? Or did he understand that there are millions of unregistered people in the United States right now who can be affected by so much, or have a history of so much crime, be affected or working for and with the cartels who are bringing in the drugs? There's this complete chaos of what's going on. You come over the border. For me, it would be easier to go over the border, cross the Rio Grande and come to the States than for me buying a ticket, going to the States and going through immigration because I have to talk to that guy for half an hour why I'm here. I'm only on vacation.
Yeah.
And they ask that from everybody. And it's crazy that it's easier to come across the border illegally. And you can just come in, go wherever you want. Basically, if you are seen when crossing the border, they will put you in this refugee center. You are given a court date in 2 weeks to come to court and say why you are seeking asylum, or are you seeking asylum, why you are in the States. And a lot of people don't go to the court. They just blend in with the population. You have 2 weeks that you're just over there. And in 2 weeks, you could be recruited by the cartel, working in a sweatshop, or working in on a farm somewhere as an unregistered worker, or you could be in a brothel, or you could be dealing drugs or whatever. And it's like,
but that is, I mean,
there's no vetting on who is coming and what is happening, and there has to be some sort of line drawn somewhere in a way that it does not come in the way of human rights, and it will be fair for everybody. But it's not working. You can see that in Europe, you can see that in Finland, you can see that in the States, all over the world.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unhinged in a way, because I don't know. I have this idea that first and foremost, a country's main priority is to take care of its population.
Exactly.
And if your population is in a good enough space, then you can start kind of, and I'm not saying countries have to do one thing at a time. Countries can do multiple things. But for example, if there's a lot of Americans living on the street, like in San Francisco or in LA and stuff, and then you're bringing in more people who are going to also be sleeping on the street, causing more issues and whatever, that just doesn't seem like the best course of action.
And it will not work. It will not work. In the long run, it will... Me driving a car, getting a flat tire, getting out of me driving a car, finding out that my front left wheel has gone flat, it's just got punctured, and getting out of the car, taking a knife and puncturing the rear wheels as well is not going to help the situation. So I have to be able to fix that, and you know, it's something that at least, like we just discussed, also this is not black and white, but there has to be boundaries and rules for it to work successfully in the long term. Or otherwise, it's just an impossible equation. Everything will fall to pieces.
And plus, I also think if we had to think in the binary of right and left, right? When these things happen, when there's a bunch of illegal immigrants coming in or whatever, and let's say in a certain area crime rises and whatever, that then gives fuel to the right-wing people to be like, we told you. And some of them can be blatantly racist as well. But then it's harder to fight against that because the crime has gone up and this has kind of happened. I just I did a video on Ireland where I reacted to a video on I don't know what the Irish are trying to do there, but like the government has been busing in humanitarian immigrants into like these small little towns and buying out hotels and just putting a bunch of who are usually like young men,
exactly,
you know, like healthy young men who come from a completely different part of the world, and
military aged,
who've been grown up in a completely different society. And we all know the thing that binds a country together is what you all perceive to be mostly right and mostly wrong. We live in a country where it's mostly wrong to force yourself on women. It's mostly wrong to do all these sort of things. But if you come from a different place where perhaps you in a war-torn place where you just fend for yourself, you take what you can get and whatever, that's not going to gel very well in a society that has welfare and stuff.
That is one thing that I've like tried to emphasize so many times in different interviews or conversations, that you have to take this into consideration when you are bringing people or helping people from a completely different culture. Somebody at that age who has somebody in that age who comes from a conflict zone or war zone, and for his whole entire life, all he's seen is violence. People being used, people being abused, women being raped, children being killed. That already has a very strong effect on your soul, the things that you have seen, the traumas before, during, and after of everything you've experienced, and trying to put that into a completely different societies is just not a very safe combination, in my opinion. So that's why I just said that there must be so much more emphasis put on the toolbox that is being given to people coming here, so that they have the best possible way of adapting to this new culture. And for me, it's just I hate the discussion. I don't really want to take part of the discussion. I'm just really blunt about this, that coming from the background I have come with, fleeing what me and my family have fled, being given this new opportunity here in Finland. I'm super grateful. I'm super Finnish. And I cannot and will not respect anyone who doesn't feel grateful about Finland. I just, it's for me, it's like, I'm judging you quietly.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think when it comes to this discussion in terms of doing something that might affect the very makeup of the country that you and I love and enjoy, talking about this specifically, it's like, maybe I feel like a lot of people living in the West have a very romanticized way of viewing cultures that are different than theirs. You know, I'm not saying other cultures don't have a beauty in them, but it's like, you know, they just have these.
The romanticized word is the perfect word. Because that is what takes it away from the actual truth of what might be.
Exactly. And I mean, like, and I don't see why you can't just tell the truth for what it is and not be called racist or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
If the fact is, this person is coming from a country where women are treated this way, perhaps we need to make sure that the people coming in learn our way of viewing things and what is not all right and what is all right and that sort of stuff. If we can't agree on that, I don't know, it's like you're destroying the country from the inside. And I don't mean to be overly dramatic or whatever, but it's such a precious little thing. I don't think people understand the fact that, you know, here in Helsinki, I walk around at night and I don't even think, not even a thought that someone might do something or whatever. And yes, I understand I'm a guy, whatever, but like, it's just, that is so special.
Yeah. I think that this, what you just said takes me back to what we discussed earlier about teaching my kids on how to view themselves and be strong. You're not a victim. I'm not a victim, and I will never take the role of a victim in any situation. I will not submit to that. It's not. I will not be told what I am worth. So that is something that is super important. Never to take the victim role, and I will not be used by any political party or in any way as a weapon for their agenda in any way. Whether it's on the right or whether it's on the left, or the narrative of all immigrants being so. I hate the narrative of immigrants. The discussion about racism is something that gets me mad because it brings up the discussion that somebody is worth less than the other person. Exactly. And I hate that. Like so like Morgan Freeman was saying in an interview in 60 Minutes that just forget about this and not talk about race. I don't see you as a black person. You don't see me as a brown person. We just don't talk. It's Chico and Arman are having this great discussion, drinking coffee, and that's it. So that is like, I hate the discussion when race is brought up because I don't want my kids to hear that. I do not want any kind of seed planted in their mind that they would even question that, is it an issue that I'm a different color? Should it be an issue? No, it's not. Let's forget about it. I saw a clip where there was a university professor in the States in their big auditorium, and there's like hundreds of students sitting there, and he has, in front of the class, he has different colored students, and he's talking about that there's pointing to the black people, and that they, or the brown or the Asian, that they will have difficulties because and he's saying that these people will have difficulties because people are prejudiced and people are racist. Like, shut the fuck up.
That is crazy.
If I would ever to find out that any school teacher or anybody had made this kind of reference or discussion in my children's school,
holy
that
shit.
Even to plant the seed of that discussion, that because because you're a different color. That is the most racist thing I've ever heard, ever seen. The amount of biblical destruction I will bring down on that teacher and that school is something that will be written for thousands of years to come in the history books.
No,
what
that
Arman
is crazy.
Did. That is
holy shit.
And this is the discussion, just talking about. I don't want to be a victim. I'm not the left's victim, and I'm not, and I don't want to be the right's weapon or anything. I'm just me. Just leave me out of this.
But you know what's crazy? I've been following a guy called Coleman Hughes.
Okay. Yeah.
He does a lot of interesting discussions, but one thing he talks about is the civil rights movement. What they wanted to get to is for colorblind policies to be passed.
Yeah.
Where it's about the content of your heart.
Exactly.
As opposed to the color of your skin. And no one is saying that you don't see color. You can see it, you can appreciate it, you can whatever. You know, that's not an issue.
Yeah.
But I think that when you start treating people differently because of their color of their skin, that's when we start getting messed up. But now it's weird because
you're underlining the difference when you do that.
Exactly. But now it's weird because the left wing people are so much more focused on race now.
Yeah.
And supporting race-based policies.
Exactly.
Which is just a total inversion of what we should be fighting for.
Yeah.
We should be not, hey, we need more black kids in the soccer team. That could be true. But how about, hey, let's invest in the community.
Exactly.
And bring up the skill level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Invest in the community and not be worried about who's in the community and what color or religion or race they're from. Yeah, exactly.
Like that just makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, for example, if there's, like Finland does really well in terms of if you are below a certain level of earnings, you'll be helped by the government or whatever. Most people, okay, we can talk about the amount and blah, blah, whatever, but most people think it's kind of cool that, hey, if you find yourself in a bad situation, you can be helped.
Exactly.
But imagine if Finland changed and was like, if you beneath this level and you're black, then we can help you. You know, if you're below this level and you're white, it means you've probably been ahead of all the other black people. So we'll help you with half the amount.
Yeah.
That's just like, why?
Yeah.
We're going to get you into this job because of the color of your skin.
They're underlining the inequality and the differences by doing so.
Yeah.
I think that is so wrong. That is so wrong.
So you know, obviously, Finland a lot better. Does that, the schooling system and whatever, is race and that sort of stuff, do you know if it's something that's spoken about, brought in, or?
I don't know. For me, going to school, I was like pretty much the only immigrant in that school. So you would think that it would have been much more difficult because I was the only strange person in the school. So basically, you could think that a lot of people might think that like, so you must have had a really hard time being the only different child in school. I'm like, no, I had a great time. There was like nobody talks about me being an outsider or anything. There was no discussion. The discussion is now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Now they're discussing this, but when I was a kid, like there was no. I didn't like. Of course, there are always racist people, but I've seen there are racist people from where I come from in Iran. If you go to Iran, you will have trouble there. If a Finn goes to Iran, they will have trouble there. You go to Japan, which is super closed, and the Japanese hate everybody. Well, I'm not okay. Sorry to all the Japanese. I know you don't hate everybody, but they.
I get what you mean.
In the stereotypical picture, they are very, very distant to anyone who comes from the outside, and there is the word gaijin for an outsider. You know, it's you will never blend into. I interviewed like over 10 years ago people in Japan about this issue, and there were people who were half Japanese. They had a European mother or father, and they told me in those interviews that they could never climb the corporate ladder above a certain point because they're not 100% Japanese. it has changed now. The situation is much different, but there has, so this kind of racism or being attached to your own culture in such a strong way, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And you can't really get rid of that, but
but at the same time, it's sort of like, it's so strange that people will look at Japan and be like, yeah, we understand. They want to kind of hold on to their culture.
Yeah.
They make it very hard for you to kind of get in, whatever. And people somewhat, they're like, understand, right?
Exactly.
But when it comes to Finland, everyone's just like,
yeah.
like any hint of that. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever. I'm just saying, I just find it so strange that.
And they always pull up the flag. The Finland is the most racist country in the world. Like, it's not. It's really not.
No. So, lastly, like, what are the current projects you're working on now?
Right now, I'm working on a new documentary series that is going to air this fall. 7 episodes. One is about the drug war in the States and at the border crisis. I could just name a few because it's not been completely announced of all the topics. One has to do with the death penalty, viewing the death penalty. One is about genetic research. I think that's as much as I can say.
Okay.
But pretty much things that really large questions and in a way either problems or opportunities depending on how you view them in the world. So we're putting that under a microscope and trying to have a fair discussion about what is going on in that.
So it's all over the world. It's not just based on the States.
No, it's been filmed in the States, in Far East Asia, Japan, in Africa, in Europe.
Wow.
So pretty much all over the world. And I'm really really excited. It has really big topics that are probably impossible to solve in any way. But there are problems that have been with us for decades or even longer, and we want to take a look into those.
That is amazing.
Yeah, again, going through things the hard way.
Yeah,
like we started
riding the
big wave. Yeah,
the big wave. But I think the world needs people like you, who are willing to step out into some of those environments where, for a lot of people, it's like a romantic picture of just kind of like, oh, wow, you went to Africa? Like,
Yeah.
But you're actually there and hearing from people directly, which I think is so much more important, because now it's so much easier to be chilling at home and commenting about some far off war that you've never heard about, never seen until recently. And that sort of stuff. But Arman, thank you so much for having a conversation with me.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I'm so happy to finally get to meet you. And Finland needs people like you. You make this country flourish even more than before. So I'm really happy that we met.
Thank you so much. It's a great compliment.